Hello, my name is Kay, and thank you for joining our industry chat session hosted by UTS Careers. I would like to introduce Laura B and Daniel Sanchez from Honeywell. Laura is a UX designer in the Sydney team, and you graduated with a Bachelor of Design Computing, majoring in user experience design, and you graduated in 2018. And
Yes.
Laura, I know that you worked whilst you were studying. You did a couple of internships, and prior to you joining Honeywell, and you joined in February of this year. And Daniel, you're currently working as a sales engineer at Honeywell in the Melbourne office, and you graduated with a Bachelor of Chemical Engineering honours in 2016. And I know that for you, your journey was a bit of part-time work, a bit of travelling, while you found that perfect graduate opportunity, and you were successful in securing a role in the Honeywell graduate program and joined in February of 2019. So we've got a newer experience and somebody who's got a bit more time under the belt. So really grateful for you to be able to share your experiences with us today. So thank you for joining me. And okay, let's chat about your experience on the Honeywell graduate program. So Laura, I'd love to start with you. What has been the biggest challenge moving from university to the workplace, and what support were you offered as a new graduate at Honeywell?
Yeah, one big challenge that I found is just adjusting to the hours and expectations of working full time, and being responsible for real projects from day one. And it's also working in a context where it's not just about your grades, but it's also about collaboration and navigating relationships, so being emotionally intelligent. But honestly, I can say the best support I've received as a graduate is just the relationships I have with my colleagues on my team. Honeywell has a really friendly culture, so we have awesome bands. But although I'm given a lot of freedom in my work, they're always really willing to help, and I know that they have my back, and they really model for me what it looks like to be a good worker and a good designer. I can look to them and see where I want to be in the future. So that's pretty cool.
And that's great to hear, because I know because you've done some internships, it's not your first role, so you have had some experience in the workplace, but even that, you've appreciated that extra support that you've been given on the graduate program.
Yeah, sure.
So just moving on from that, what's the most exciting or challenging project that you've worked on so far at Honeywell?
Yeah, currently I'm working on a mobile solution to help field operators working on big chemical plants communicate with the rest of the team in the control room. And if only half of that makes sense, that's okay, because when I started, this is not a field that I was familiar with. So one challenge was just getting up to speed and understanding how these plants work. But the exciting part is that I got to actually visit 2 chemical plants in Newcastle as part of our research, and these are generally areas that are fairly closed off to the public, so it's definitely not the kind of thing I could have arranged as a student. But Honeywell has really great relationships with their customers, and so I got to meet these operators who've been working there for years and years and who keep the plant going every day. And I guess it just shows the commitment that my team has to actually understanding who our customers are and designing things that really meet their needs.
So truly a collaborative approach, and calling on all stakeholders involved in the business. Moving on to you, Daniel, you got a chemical engineering degree. You've started as a graduate sales engineer with Honeywell. Tell me what led you to this role, and did you even imagine back in 2012 that was where you'd end up? And I'd be really interested to know how your engineering degree has actually allowed you to be successful in this current role.
Yeah, definitely not where I thought I'd be going with a Chem Eng degree. Honeywell definitely works more in sort of the mechanical and electrical and sort of technology fields. But to be honest, from going from a chemical engineering degree, the main sort of aspects of what engineering is at university is really just a tool onto how to teach yourself how to approach problems. and learn how to pick up new skills and practice a lot of those soft skills that really come into play into the workplace. So while it's not where I really expected from when I started my degree, by the time I sort of got through to my degree and realized that within sort of the job market we had and where a lot of chemical engineers end up going, being interstate, to sort of lonely control rooms in the middle of nowhere, I kind of realized I wanted to not only have a little bit of technical stuff in my job, but also have that interaction with people in a day-to-day and working in team environments. And that sales engineer role that I work in now really does provide that. I get as much technical stuff as I want to dive into and get into the nitty-gritty, but I also get to work with all these different teams from across Honeywell and all these different customers in different industries to get solutions for them that really work. So yeah, not where I thought I'd start, but pretty pleased where I am now.
Okay, so you just mentioned that you get the opportunity to work with different teams within the business, Daniel. So can you share with us what a typical, I don't know if there's a typical day or a typical week might be for you, and who you might engage with across the business?
Yeah, so in my role, we really have so many customers across so many different industries every week, and most of the week is even split up that I get to work on something different every single week with different people. I might be working on a security solution for a defense customer one week, and the next week be working in healthcare or a building management system for premium commercial building in Melbourne. So it's really where the opportunities are, we go and work in those areas, and you get to really expand across all these different industries and different places. One day I might be calling our data center to figure out how a new device works. And the next day I'll be going on site to sort of check out what the capabilities of site are and what we can and can't put in there. Every day and every week is quite different, which makes it quite easy to come back when you don't really know what you'll be doing next. And you get the opportunity to sort of grow and learn and upskill as you go through the job, especially in the graduate program. You're looked at not as sort of a graduate to do all the grunt work, but as someone they're investing in for the future of the business. So they really throw you in the deep end quite early.
Yeah.
I know that my first week, not my first week, but my second week in Honeywell, I was thrown in the deep end with one of the other graduates to do a tender for a defense site in Victoria that I didn't think I'd be, getting that much responsibility that early. And as Laura said, like the sort of collaborative nature and the assistance you get from everyone else in your team and across Honeywell is really what makes that possible. It's not necessarily like a sink or swim, but there's other people there treading water with you and helping you keep going.
It's funny, I'm watching Laura here and she's nodding. She's like, yeah. It's, and sometimes that's the best way to learn, isn't it? Just to get thrown into something and just work it out. You know that you've got capabilities to do it. It's just having the confidence to start. So are there any particular skills that you think, Daniel, that students should be thinking about developing to allow them to make that transition into the workplace and deal with these ambiguities that are obviously going to come across your desk of a day?
Yeah, I mean, university is a great opportunity to not only sort of upskill yourself in your chosen discipline, but get the opportunity to do those electives in areas that you're not as familiar with or sort of tangential to your direct line. Take those opportunities and really practice those soft skills, those team management roles that, really come into it in the workplace. Those have been sort of the most important, knowing how to work with people, when to stand up for yourself, when to go with the flow, and taking the time in the day to learn what you're doing as well. If you don't know what you're doing in the morning, by the end of the day, whether you want to or not, you're so ingrained with all these things in the role that you will have to upskill. And it is super interesting work. Like, you do get to work in all these different industries and places. So as a university student, definitely just try as many things as possible. And just do what you enjoy as well. Like if you really don't like something, you don't have to follow that. Try and do the things that you like, and just expand those.
Yeah. Yeah. And Laura, I put the same question to you. Is there anything that you would add to that you think, oh, if I had my time again, I wish I'd done more of that, or now I'm in the workplace, I really see the value of X?
Yeah, when I was a design student, I had a love-hate relationship with group assignments. I truly, I guess there's a stereotype that, some people don't put in work and that kind of thing. But I've realized that those are actually the best opportunities for you to practice using collaboration and teamwork skills. And being a team member, part of that is also helping to motivate and get buy-in from your team members, which is such a valuable skill in the workplace where you have to convince maybe less enthusiastic colleagues about the value of your ideas. So it's a challenging thing to be working with different people, but also that's normal, and that is something that's going to help you heaps in whatever context that you're working in.
I think it's one of most students' biggest bugbear is the work, the group work. But as you both touched on, it gives you those skills to know when to bend and flex, and when you need to kind of step up. So I think that's really important point that you make.
Sure.
Yeah,
and definitely adding to that, I would, in those situations, definitely try and take and push yourself to do those leadership roles every so often, because trying those new skills and trying to get that extra responsibility is just going to help you so much when you get into the workforce.
Great. Laura, to you, there are diverse roles and functions at Honeywell, and I certainly don't know what they all are. What advice do you have for students who they don't know quite what career path to take?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to just getting to a checkpoint in your life and just not really knowing where to go. So I would say sort of two things. Firstly, to do your research and to get wisdom. So whether that's like going to careers fairs offered by university, or sometimes I would just even go on LinkedIn and look for the recruiter of a company that I was interested in and just message them. And honestly, that's what their job is. And people are generally really willing to help out and to share about their workplace. People enjoy talking about the work that they do. Secondly, talking to people a little bit further on from you in life, maybe 1 or 2 years ahead of you in your degree, or maybe working in the industry, because they know what it's like to be there. And that's been so valuable for me, both personally and professionally. You just can't underestimate the value of that experience. And then just take a step forward, even if you're not 100%, you kind of don't know until you try. And new opportunities come from that you might not even be aware of. For example, one of my colleagues in the design team was a graduate under a different stream, and she was looking to try something different. So she ended up speaking with her mentor, and she was able to get 6 months with the UX design team. And then at the end of that, she chose to stay and continue working in design, even though she had an engineering background, which just kind of shows you the advantage of being in a company like Honeywell, where there are those opportunities to move around and they really want to help you find your fit.
You mentioned mentorship. Just question to both of you. I'll go to you first, Daniel. Can you tell me about, do you have a buddy program? How does that work when you first join?
Yeah, you definitely get a buddy when you start up, someone who's in the graduate program, maybe just a year above you, who's been through everything that you're going through, who's just there for one of your peers to be able to communicate with when you have those questions that you're not too sure who to ask or where to find that information. And then throughout the graduate program, we have a mentoring program where you get partnered up with someone who's in another state or maybe in your office as well, who's either in a line of work that you've expressed some interest in, or someone who's way more advanced in what they're doing than what your current role is. And I meet with mine every month, and I also give him a call every time I've got sort of a problem that I know he can fix. or some advice, or just want to run an idea by him. So that support's there sort of from all sort of touch points. And our HR department as well, like Robbie and Jen are fantastic. They're always there for a chat, and they're running constant webinars and sessions to assist you in those little skills that you don't pick up at uni.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And Laura, would you echo those sentiments?
Yeah, for sure. Our HR graduate, Robbie, has also been really supportive. He always organizes calls to check in with the graduates and just give his little nuggets of wisdom to help me continue my role, which is great. Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got a lot of support. So that transition from university to the workplace, whether it be your peers, whether it be human resources, or whether it be other people in your graduate program, that you're very generous in sharing your knowledge and offering support to your colleagues. So it sounds like a great place to work. So Laura, based on your observations within the user experience team, what areas do you see that are growing in that space?
It's a hard question because it's kind of everything.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, almost every project that Honeywell's working in comes with some aspect of a user interacting with something. So design is getting more and more integrated with our work, and it really just comes down to whether our customers are bought into that and whether they believe in that or not. For example, like 2 years ago, Honeywell had a sort of design to developer ratio of 1:30, and now it's moved to 1:10. So they've hired a lot because they're really seeing the value of design. In where I work, which is industrial plants, the systems being used are like decades old. So there's such an opportunity to innovate and bring those systems to the future. For example, even before COVID-19, we were thinking about how we could help teams to work remotely, because plant sites are often quite far away from the city. And so now that we've been working on those problems for a long time, there's a real opportunity to start implementing them. And we're finding that people are more and more open to thinking about remote work and, communicating sort of over long distances and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that talks to your point, Daniel, as well, when you mentioned about not being so keen on working on those remote environments. You're clearly a people person, and I suppose the technology that Laura's working on would actually help people feel supported and have those connections. So my next question to you, Daniel, is where you see Honeywell heading in the next few years, and what types of opportunities should students be looking out for and expect to see?
Yeah, it's a big global question for where Honeywell's going in the future, and not privy to all those discussions. But in my own opinion, I think that Honeywell's definitely moved further and further into sort of the industrial technology areas, and becoming more and more of an integrator of systems, sort of a master of all the third-party things and making them work, and especially in terms of the customer and giving the benefit to them for just as much sort of bang for your buck. It's a bit of a hard thing to answer, but I really do see us just moving more and more into the technology aspects of it. Getting out of producing our own sort of components and pushing those, but really pushing the bounds of what technology can do for us. In terms of things like the Internet of Things, it's definitely become a lot bigger in the last 5 years, and buildings are becoming more and more connected. I saw some statistic as well that 60% of the population lives in cities now, and with more people in there, there's just more area for us to integrate our technology and improve things like environmental, water usage, energy usage. So yeah, if you're looking to get into Honeywell or something like that love for sort of the new and the different is a big thing, and being able to embrace change and really capitalize on it with pushing yourself into those growth areas and doing as much as possible with what you've got and finding out what else there is out there, constantly searching for new technology and new ways to implement it.
Fantastic. The graduate program at Honeywell, Daniel, aims to develop technical skills, soft skills, and business acumen throughout that 2-year program. What do you see as the key skills that allow success at Honeywell?
Key skills is definitely teamwork, able to work in a team, and honesty with yourself and your team, being able to communicate what you can and can't do, what you believe you can upskill yourself in, and not over-promising what you can do is a big thing. So you're constantly going to be doing things that you've never done before, and being able to get up to speed in that is one thing, but being honest where you've got your limits and where you find that's a massive part of it as well. But that collaborative environment is really something Honeywell pushes on all levels.
Yeah. And Laura, with you being slightly newer into the program, what do you see as those key skills that were important in that initial phase when you joined Honeywell?
Yeah, I think certainly just those skills of collaboration are still really key, especially when you're just starting to work with your colleagues and making a good first impression. Bringing an attitude of openness to try new things, but also humility, knowing that you have so much to learn. And I think when people see that, they are more willing to help. That's what I found in my position, is that when someone sees someone who is eager and willing to learn, they often enjoy helping them.
Yeah, so it sounds like being curious, listening, and embracing everything that comes your way is some of the key things that will allow students to become successful. So is there anything that like we don't know about Honeywell that, a little something that we don't know about that would surprise us?
Daniel, you can go first.
Oh, I was going to say, you go first. I guess the biggest thing that when I was looking into Honeywell and whether I wanted to work there or not, what I sort of found when doing that investigation was that for a global big company, they are one of the few who will express a desire to be super safe, environmentally sustainable, all those big real world aspects that we're constantly in discussion over on a global basis. It's one of the few companies that do truly hold to that. They really push that safety nature across all levels, whether it's in the office, on site, in our development, testing, going and visiting a site just to say hello and see how everyone's going. It's everywhere. And it's honest, and all the leaders are involved in it. It's constantly talked about. We have metrics of safety observations that we do every year of things around, even if it's in the office and something as benign as the milk going off, or something as mental as someone just climbing up a ladder without anyone looking at them. Everyone's got that ingrained in them from the start. And all our onboarding as well is quite focused around understanding what the Honeywell culture is and how you can add to that and integrate into that and follow the Honeywell behaviors. So that was the biggest shock, I guess, for when I started, was being like, oh, they do mean this, which is nice. It's good to be able to work for someone who does.
Yeah, Laura? I would agree to that. That. Even stuff like now that we're working from home, someone was like, oh, are you working on the couch all day? We're really concerned about protecting your posture and your back. So if you need a chair that's a bit more ergonomic, we can arrange to bring one for you. It was that was definitely something that
there's a real human side and strong values and lots of support. So Daniel and Laura, thank you so much for sharing your insights into Honeywell, the graduate program. I think it's given our students a lot to think about and hopefully pique their curiosity to find out more. If you are looking to participate in the Honeywell graduate program, it's live now on Career Hub. The roles expire on the 31st of May, so you've got lots of time.